I was told that we were going to have someone come down and do some video about, Mother of Mercy House, about the area, which is fine. I love any kind of publicity as far as getting help for the community. So when Dan walked in, I had no idea who was coming in, but I always tell Dan when he came in, he talked so much about Jesus, it was almost like Jesus helped him tie his shoes. That's my example to people. And I was like, oh gosh, you know what? That's a lot. Like, I'm Catholic, I'm religious, I'm spiritual, but Dan came in with Jesus, like practically on his shoulder, and I was like, this is a lot of a guy with Jesus. And then after a while, I realized, wow, this is a guy with Jesus. And I thought I'd be turned off, to be honest with you, because I thought it's going to be a lot. And we're kind of inclusive, and we're Catholic, and we're religious, but Dan brought a whole new presence in. And this is so honest, not because you're filming me. I was not impressed at first. I was a little bit hesitant. And now when Dan comes in, I'm like, oh, here come Dan and Jesus. And I love it. It's actually changed me into a different way of thinking, even though I went through Catholic school for 12 years and church. But Dan comes in and it's in his heart. Like, you can feel it. It's not, I told Dan we had people that I would see at church when I was younger, and they were in my neighborhood, and then you'd see them not behaving the same way as they did in church. And that was a turnoff to me. Dan is Dan. Jesus is with him no matter where we are, what we're doing, and it's comforting, to be honest with you. Dan just jumps right in, and usually people do not jump right in. A lot of people won't even come down here. So Dan came down, and I thought, well, he's going to be shocked, and I don't think he was ever shocked. I don't know why. He went right out and acted like this was his neighborhood. And it's funny because I was driving just the other day, and Dan was walking with a coffee as if he lived down here, and he didn't have anything with him. He didn't have a camera, but he was walking on Kensington Avenue crossing Allegheny, and I thought, oh my gosh, there's Dan with the coffee, as if it's just okay to walk around with a coffee. And I guess people just accept him. He has a way about him that's not intimidating, and that people want to talk to him, and it's pretty impressive, to be honest with you. I think it's very difficult to gain trust. We have a really good relationship. We deal with 3 communities. We deal with the housed, the unhoused, and the kids. So when people say community, I always remind them, we have 3. We're trying to put them all together as one, and it's very difficult to tell a neighborhood that we're also dealing with the outdoor neighbors who have substance use disorder. And Dan, I don't even think Dan realized there were 3 communities. He just deals with everyone equally. And that's a beautiful thing, because sometimes people come down for one reason, and they don't care about the other reasons. And Dan just comes down and starts talking to whoever. Doesn't ask them much about anything that would be disturbing, gets to know them on a different level, and then, reapproaches them another day. And then everybody loves Dan. So, and then they start to open up, and you can see everything melt away, and they just want to tell their story. And the truth is, people look down upon them a lot, and they're just people that are addicted, like they're sick, and they have an illness. And if they had diabetes or cancer, we would all be falling all over them trying to get them help. And most people just walk by them. Dan brings a lot to the plate about hope, because, if you have that your head around Jesus and the fact that someone else can take over if you could let loose a little bit. And actually, I probably wouldn't have said that before without Dan. I know it in my heart, I live like that, but I probably wouldn't preach it as much. But when you hear Dan and you see the results he's getting with people, the comfort that they feel, I believe that spiritual component brings a lot of hope.
Hey, I'm Dan Tarrant, and I'm the founder of Personally Catholic. Our mission at Personally Catholic is to lead Catholics into a more personal relationship with God from wherever they are in their lives.